First story. I promised my son to buy him a PC if he saved up. He did more than required, so I canceled his stupid PC and told him to save more. He sulked, so I grounded him, took away all his savings, and forced him to do an after-school job as punishment. Now I'm regretting my actions. I 43F have a 15-year-old son, Caleb, not his real name, who's a bright kid, but also very tunnel vision. He gets obsessed with certain things for short bursts. Last year it was skateboarding. Before that, he got fixated on photography and spent weeks begging for a DSLR, then dropped the idea after I said I wouldn't buy one. The year before that? Piano lessons. He lasted a month. This pattern is consistent. Something catches his attention. He'll hyperfixate on it. Maybe watch hours of YouTube videos, talk our ears off about it, then completely move on if he doesn't get instant gratification. So naturally, when he came to me last year and said he wanted to build a gaming computer, I took it with a grain of salt. I'll admit I played along. He caught me at a decent moment, and I said something like, "Sure, if you can save up $1,000, we can talk about it." My thinking was that he'd lose interest by the next week, as usual. Also, I figured maybe this would be a good lesson in budgeting and delayed gratification. He talks about being more independent all the time, so why not let him try? Well, surprise, he actually stuck to it. He picked up odd jobs from neighbors, sold his old toys and collectibles online with my permission, and even saved Christmas and birthday money. A year later, he had over $1,300 saved up. I didn't think he'd get that far, but honestly, even when he started accumulating savings, I never intended for him to blow it all on some flashy computer. He already has an Xbox that we bought him for Christmas 2 years ago, and a Chromebook that the school issued him. So gaming and school, already covered. But a few weeks ago, he comes into my room, literally holding a folder, and says, "I'd like to go over my PC build proposal." Like he's pitching a business idea or something. My husband was half asleep, and I was folding laundry, but we let him go on. He pulled up pictures, listed all the components, and even broke down why certain parts were better than cheaper alternatives. I'll admit he put effort into it. Then he drops the number, $1,100 total. He says he has it covered, and will still have money left over. That's when I cut him off. I told him, absolutely not. He's 15. That kind of money should be going towards a car, or at least be saved until he's older. What 15-year-old needs a computer that costs more than some people's rent? I said no, point blank. He got visibly upset, but I was calm and firm. I explained our reasoning. Even though he saved the money himself, we're still his parents, and we have a say in whether a purchase that big makes sense. My husband backed me up. We both agreed that $1,100 is excessive for a child. That's when things started getting messy. Caleb argued back that we had agreed on the $1,000 number last year. I corrected him. I said, "We agreed you could save towards it, and we'd talk. That doesn't mean we promised anything." He got angrier and said he felt like he wasted a whole year saving for nothing. He's been sulking ever since. I should mention that this isn't the first time he's reacted this way. He's always had a hard time with no. A few years ago, we had an issue where he wanted to go on a week-long camp with his friend's church group. We're not religious, and we said no. He locked himself in his room for 3 days and didn't eat dinner with us. Another time, I found out he had secretly used a friend's Netflix account to watch R-rated movies. And when we took away his Xbox for a week, he gave us the silent treatment the entire time. So yeah, there's a pattern of emotional withdrawal when things don't go his way. And I get that teenagers can be moody and dramatic. But it's exhausting walking on eggshells every time a decision doesn't go in his favor. Back to the computer after I shut it down, he said, "You literally said I could get it if I saved up. You lied." I tried to clarify again that I said we'd discuss it, not that it was guaranteed. He claims that's semantics, but I disagree. We're the parents, we set the limits. I even offered a compromise. I said he could spend up to $500 on a computer. That's more than fair. That's plenty for a beginner setup. He doesn't need to buy a high-end graphics card and liquid cooling systems like he's building a NASA rig. This is for games and school, not building a rocket. But now, he won't talk to us. He hasn't eaten dinner with the family in over a week. He leaves for school and comes back without saying a word. I overheard him on Discord telling his friends I scammed him. He's acting like I stole from him when I'm literally just guiding him to make a more responsible decision with his money. I've even had his aunt, my sister, call me after he vented to her, saying that maybe we should let him have this win since he did save the money himself. I told her flat out that she can pitch in if she feels that strongly. But I'm not going to let a child drop over $1,000 on a hobby that may not even last 6 months. She said I was being harsh, and that, at least let him build it. It's educational. Again, that doesn't justify spending that much. It's frustrating because no one else sees the bigger picture. This isn't about one PC. It's about setting a tone for what's acceptable. If we say yes now, next time it'll be $2,000. Then what? A motorcycle at 17. He has to learn that just because you can buy something doesn't mean you should. And also, let's not forget, he's a minor. That money is in a joint savings account with me, which we opened specifically so we could monitor his spending. He legally can't touch it without my co-signature. So technically, it's not like he can walk into a store and buy the parts on his own. So when he says, "It's my money," well, kind of. But not really. We set up the account that way for a reason. To supervise. I've also seen the way he talks to strangers online while gaming. Sometimes he gets worked up, yelling at people over lag or losing a match. It concerns me. That level of investment, the emotional outbursts, the screen time, it's not healthy to encourage it by enabling a better setup. If anything, it'll worsen those behaviors. Which brings me to where we are now. After I told him he could spend $500 max, he didn't say a word. Just turned around and left the room. That was over a week ago. He's barely spoken to me or my husband since. He eats in his room, won't come downstairs unless he absolutely has to. And when I try to talk to him, it's either a grunt or nothing before he walks off. It's like I flipped a switch, and now he's doing this silent punishment thing. We gave him space. I figured he'd cool off after a few days. He hasn't. He came home from school yesterday, and I heard him slam his bedroom door. Later, I saw that he had uninstalled most of the games on his Xbox. When I asked about it, he said, "Why bother?" I ignored the attitude. He wanted a fight. I wasn't giving him one. Then last night, he emailed me a spreadsheet, emailed showing how the $500 build I approved doesn't meet the requirements for the games he plays. He added links to Reddit threads and forums, showing why the cheaper GPU I suggested is a waste of money and wouldn't last more than a year or two. He included comparison benchmarks like he was submitting a thesis. I didn't respond. I'm not going to debate a teenager on graphics cards. I know what I said. $500 is the line. The end. I'm also not going to act like this is just about computer parts. He's trying to push the boundaries again. And like every other time he doesn't get his way, he escalates, shuts down, and then plays victim. When I told my husband about the spreadsheet, he just sighed and said, "We should have seen this coming." We both knew the second we gave a number, even just as a hypothetical, he'd treat it like a contract. But that's not how life works. I'm not going to teach him that persistence means guaranteed reward. That's not a real lesson. He needs to understand limits, not loopholes. What's frustrating is how everyone else is acting like we're being unreasonable. His aunt thinks I'm killing his motivation. His cousin 19M, who works part-time at Best Buy, messaged me saying, "You should let him build it. He's better with tech than I was at 15. Okay, he also doesn't pay rent or bills, so I'm not taking financial advice from him. Even his school counselor emailed, asking if something was going on at home, because Caleb seemed withdrawn lately. I explained the situation. She didn't say anything else, but I could feel the tone shift, like I was the problem. I know how this sounds. People are acting like I crushed his dream. But let's be honest. It's a gaming PC, not med school. He's not inventing Cold Fusion. He wants a rig to play Valorant and Apex, and maybe stream to 5 friends. I'm not going to greenlight over $1,000 for that when he has an Xbox that works perfectly fine. He keeps throwing the "I saved the money myself" line like it's a mic drop. That's not how this works in our house. He doesn't get to make major financial decisions at 15 without oversight. He doesn't pay for food, clothes, utilities, or school. Saving birthday money and mowing lawns doesn't give him free rein to spend like an adult. I'm also not convinced this isn't just another phase. I've seen him get deeply into something before and burn out quickly. The skateboard phase ended the second he scraped his knee and got bored. The photography phase. The camera sat on the shelf untouched after 3 weeks. What happens if he builds this computer, uses it for a month, and then decides it's not that fun anymore? Then we're out $100 for what? A glorified Discord machine. And again, what nobody seems to mention. He's going to need a car in a few years. Not new, but at least roadworthy. Insurance, registration, gas, that stuff adds up. He thinks wanting $300 is a lot of money. It's not when you're 17 and trying to drive to school or work. I'd rather he start saving now, while he has no real expenses, than blow it on a toy and start from zero later. I told him, you can get a solid starter PC for $500 and upgrade later if you're still serious. He said, I don't want a trash build, and walked away. Fine. That's his choice. But I'm not budging. So now I'm the bad guy. According to him, I lied. According to his aunt, I crushed his confidence. But I don't feel guilty. Not one bit. Parenting isn't about popularity. It's not about giving in every time your kid is upset. It's about doing what's right long term, even if they hate you short term. He can sulk, he can protest, he can complain to every adult who will listen, but the money stays in the account until he makes a reasonable choice. He's not getting that $100 build. Period. So Reddit, Ada. Comments. Comment 1. YTA, hard. Look, I'm a dad too, in my late 30s, and I've got 2 teens, so I get the instinct to be cautious with spending, especially with kids. But this wasn't caution. This was you setting him up to fail. You told him, if you save up, we'll talk. He did more than that. He spent a whole damn year proving to you that he could commit to something. And when he finally came through, you pulled the rug out from under him. You know how rare that kind of dedication is in a 15-year-old. He planned, saved, researched, and even presented it to you like a responsible young adult, and you treated it like a tantrum over toys. And don't hit me with, he has an Xbox like that's the same thing. You clearly don't understand the difference between console and PC gaming, or what building a rig even means. It's not just gaming. It's learning about hardware, troubleshooting, budgeting, and system design. Those are actual skills, marketable ones. But instead of encouraging that, you shoved a cap on it because you decided only $100 was too much, regardless of the fact that he earned it. This wasn't just about the money. This was a kid trying to prove himself, and you sent a message loud and clear. It doesn't matter how responsible you act. Mom will still treat you like a 5-year-old. Good luck trying to undo that damage. Comment 2. Let's be honest here. You never thought he'd actually follow through, and when he did, it caught you off guard. So instead of being proud or adjusting your thinking, you doubled down and moved the goalposts. That's what this is really about. You set a fake boundary you never thought he'd hit, and when he did, you changed the rules. That's a broken promise, plain and simple. Your "we'll talk" turned into "nope" the second it got real. If you had said from the start, "we'll talk, but I may not approve it regardless," you'd have a leg to stand on. But you linked his savings to the outcome. That's misleading. The car argument. Also shaky. He's 15. He still has time. And honestly, even if he bought this PC now and kept saving, he'd probably still be okay by 17. Why not let him experience the reward for once? You want to teach him about responsibility, but responsibility doesn't mean punishing someone for doing everything right. If you want him to trust you again, you need to own that you moved the line. Update. I didn't expect so many people to have such strong opinions about this. Honestly, reading the comments made me realize most of you have no idea what it's like to parent a teenager who pushes boundaries constantly. Everyone kept saying I crushed his motivation or betrayed him. That's dramatic. I set a limit. He didn't like it. That's not betrayal. That's parenting. Anyway, a lot has happened since my original post. 2 days after the first blow-up, I woke up to several Amazon order confirmations in my email. At first I thought it was spam, but when I checked, it was a full set of PC parts, the exact $100 build he presented to us. He ordered it himself at about 1 a.m. using the bank card from our joint account. He tried to sneak it in while we were asleep. And before anyone says, he earned the money, he should be allowed to use it, no. He knew I would have to approve the charges. He thought he could get the items delivered before I noticed. That tells me all I need to know. He knew he was breaking the rule. I canceled every single item. When he realized what happened, he came downstairs shaking and demanded to know why I stole his purchase. I told him plainly, you attempted to go behind my back. That is not how money works. That is not how trust works. He started yelling that I was a liar and a control freak, and that nothing I ever say means anything. Again, dramatic. He had sold his Xbox the day before to add more money to the fund. I didn't tell him to do that. That was his decision. But now he's acting like I forced him. He made a choice and didn't like the outcome. That's what's actually happening. I told him since he clearly can't respect spending limits, I am now holding the account entirely. The Xbox money is included. He no longer has direct access to the funds. If he wants to make purchases, he will ask, and I will approve case by case. That's how most teenagers operate anyway. He then tried the "I did everything you asked, and you moved the goalposts" argument again. I explained that I didn't expect him to save that much. And yes, I didn't think he would follow through. Which means at the time the conversation was hypothetical. I could have worded it differently, maybe. But I'm not going to pretend I'm obligated to allow something I know is a bad investment just because he took it literally. This money is significant to our family. People in the comments acted like $100 is nothing. Maybe for you. We don't throw around $1,000 hobby purchases like candy. This isn't a family where we hand-wavingly allow expensive whims. This money will matter when it comes to his first car, insurance, maybe college books or trade school fees. That's real life. His grades came home 2 days after that. 2 classes dropped. I pointed that out and told him if he wants to act like he's responsible enough for adult decisions, then he needs to start with school. I said, "Get your grades back up, and maybe I'll reconsider the PC discussion later." He told me straight to my face, "I don't believe anything you say anymore. I already did what you told me. Your word means nothing." So now we're apparently in the phase where he thinks refusing to try is some kind of statement. My husband, for the first time, did not back me up. He said maybe we should find a middle ground or acknowledge he feels betrayed. I felt completely blindsided. He didn't say any of this when we shut it down the first time. Now suddenly I'm the villain in my own home. We argued. Not yelling, but definitely tense. I told him I'm not going to parent based on who has the loudest feelings. And then, to make everything worse, one of his friend's mums called me. Apparently Caleb told his friend that I stole his savings and won't let him make his own decisions. So now I look like some cartoon villain parent in other households. She tried to check in that tone people use when they're pretending to be polite while judging. I shut that down fast. I said it's a family matter and not her business. The silent treatment has ramped up, but I'm not budging. If he wants to act like being held accountable is oppression, that's his choice. He still has food, shelter, school, and access to everything he needs. He's not mistreated. He's angry because he got told no. And since people suggested natural consequences, fine. If he wants adult privileges, then he can take on adult responsibility. I signed him up for an after-school job at the local grocery store. I did the paperwork myself. He will be working 3 days a week. If he wants to earn money, he can earn money. But I decide the hours and priorities because he is still a minor in my care. He didn't like that, so he slammed a door. So the door is coming off the hinges tonight. If he can't close himself off to the family respectfully, then he doesn't get the isolation benefit. I cut Wi-Fi access for his room. He can use the family computer in the living room for schoolwork only. Before people rush to scream abuse, these are consequences for sneaking, lying, and attempting to bypass boundaries. Not for wanting a computer. I wouldn't punish him for wanting something. I am thinking about his future. I'm thinking about responsibility. I'm thinking about the long-term lesson. He can be mad. He can be quiet. He can cry. He can glare. None of that changes what is right here. Everyone can call me the arsehole. Fine. But I am the only one here actually parenting. Comments. Comment 1. YTA. And I'm going to be real with you. This whole thing screams more about your need to control than anything your son did wrong. He saved. He planned. He committed. You admitted you didn't think he'd follow through. And instead of owning that you underestimated him, you doubled down and punished him for being persistent. Then when he tried to take initiative, you canceled the orders, locked down his money, signed him up for a job without asking again, and yanked his Wi-Fi and his door like this is some prison camp. You're treating his hurt like manipulation. But your lesson isn't teaching him responsibility. It's teaching him that even when he plays by the rules, you'll change them at the finish line. And then you expect him to be respectful. Do you want to raise a resentful adult who never asks for help or trusts authority? This is how you do it. Take a long look at your choices. You're not raising a man. You're controlling a boy and calling it love. Comment 2. YTA. And I'm speaking as the kid who had a mom like you. Everything I ever did was dismissed until it clashed with what she thought was smart. No matter how hard I worked, she'd twist it into me being irresponsible or dramatic. And guess what? I stopped trying. Your son didn't sneak out. He didn't steal. He followed rules that you set. And when he took them seriously, you told him they were imaginary. That's what hurts. You broke trust, then doubled down by punishing his reaction to your dishonesty. You keep framing this like it's about money or parenting. It's not. It's about integrity. You showed him yours is conditional. Now you're shocked he's angry. Good luck fixing that. I haven't spoken to my mother in 4 years. I still remember the day she canceled something I earned because she thought she knew better. That was the day I stopped talking to her like someone who cared about me. Your kid might not say it now, but he'll remember. Update. I didn't plan to post again, but it feels like everything is falling apart, and I don't know how to fix it anymore. I don't even know if I can fix it. I've gone over the past few weeks again and again in my head, trying to figure out when I lost him, and I think it was long before the computer. The other day I went into Caleb's room while he was at school. I told myself I was just cleaning, but really I think I was trying to reconnect with something, anything. What I found was hard. All the family photos, him, even the ones with his stepdad from vacations were gone. Either packed away or tossed out. The shelves were bare. The framed photo of him and me from his 8th grade graduation, gone. The homemade Christmas ornament he made in middle school with our names on it, gone. He didn't just clean. He erased us. He doesn't eat with us anymore. He hasn't in weeks. I thought it was a phase, teenage mood swings. But now it's deliberate. He packs his own lunches. He microwaves something at night when we're upstairs. I asked him once, "Why don't you eat with us?" And all he said was, "What's the point?" He didn't even say it with attitude. Just emptiness. That's worse than yelling. It's like I'm living with a stranger. A few days ago, I tried to talk to him. Really talk. I sat on his bed, he didn't want me there, and told him I might have gone too far. That maybe I should have listened better. I even said I'd consider letting him revisit the PC idea. He laughed. He said, "You care now that everyone turned on you. Not because you care about me." I wanted to scream that I do care, that I've always cared, that every single thing I did was about protecting him, but I didn't say anything. Because maybe he's right. Maybe I did only start regretting it when the consequences came back to me. Later that night, I gave him access to the money again. All of it. The money he saved, including what he got from selling his Xbox. I told him it was his choice now. No conditions. No limits. No lectures. I thought it would mean something. He said, "I don't want anything from you." He left the next day to go stay with his dad. He texted me from his room. "Dad's picking me up at 4. I asked if we could talk before he left. He never replied. My ex pulled up and didn't even come inside. I watched Caleb walk out with his bags. I tried calling that night. No answer. I tried texting. Nothing. My sister, who used to call me every other day, isn't speaking to me anymore either. She told me, "You need to sit in the silence you created." I didn't think she would turn on me too. And my husband. He's been sleeping in the guest room most nights. He said he can't handle how cold the house feels. That maybe I need to think about why Caleb left instead of how to make it look like I didn't do anything wrong. I told him I did what I thought was best. That I was trying to teach responsibility, not give in to emotional pressure. He said, "Congratulations. You taught him not to trust anyone." We haven't spoken much since. We still go through the motions: laundry, meals, small talk, but it's surface level. Last night, I found him scrolling on his phone with the lights off in the guest room. I asked, "Are we okay?" He said, "I don't know anymore. I know some people will say I deserve this. That I brought it on myself. Maybe I did. But I swear I didn't do it to hurt him. I did it because I truly believed I was protecting him from a bad decision. I didn't think he'd actually save that much money. I didn't think he'd take it so seriously. I didn't think I could lose him over a computer. I'm starting to realize it was never about the computer. It was about how I made him feel small every time he tried to act big. How I told him he had to act like an adult, then refused to treat him like one when he did. Now the house is quiet. I thought I wanted that. I thought removing the door, cutting Wi-Fi, and locking the account, those were strong parenting moves. I thought giving him a job without asking would make him feel responsible. But now it's just empty. No Xbox sounds, no arguments, no slammed doors. Just silence. And I'd give anything to go back to before any of this started. I don't even know how to reach him anymore. His dad says he's doing fine. That he's quiet but respectful. That he's doing his homework, going to school, and saving up for something but won't say what. I wonder if it's the PC. I wonder if he'll build it there, in a house where I have no say. I want to believe he'll come back. That he just needs space. But I'm starting to fear that when he left, he didn't just leave the house. He left me. I messed up. I see that now. But I don't know how to undo it. I don't know if I can. I just want my son back. The version who used to show me YouTube videos, who talked about builds and frames per second like I understood. The version who still believed I was in his corner. I don't care about being right anymore. I just want him home. Comment 1. YTA, and now you finally feel it, don't you? I was your son. I had a parent like you, rigid, dismissive, always teaching lessons instead of listening. You don't get to erase the fact that you told him to save, and then punished him for doing exactly what you said. Then you escalated. You locked him down, signed him up for work like he was on parole, ripped away his privacy, and then acted shocked when he emotionally shut the door on you. Now he's gone, and suddenly you see it. But that trust, that's gone. You stomped on it over a $100 purchase he earned. That wasn't about money. That was about your ego. You needed to be in control so badly that you burned the bridge between you and your kid. And what kills me is that you still want sympathy. You didn't just lose your son. You trained him to stop seeing you as someone safe. Own that. Comment 2. Yeah, YTA. And I don't care if you were trying to be practical about the money, because this was never about finances. It was about respect. And you treated your son like he was trying to buy heroin, not a PC. You know how much maturity it takes for a teen to save wanting $300 without blowing it on impulse junk. A lot. And instead of saying, "Damn, I'm proud of you," you said, "Nah, not happening." That killed something in him. Then you took it further. Locked down his money. Cut his internet. Took his door. Are you trying to raise a well-adjusted man or an inmate? Because from the outside, it looked like you went full warden on a kid who just wanted to build something for himself. Now he's with his dad. And maybe that's a good thing for him. Because at least someone isn't trying to punish him for doing everything right. You say you want him back. If that's true, start by admitting out loud, not just online, that you F'd up. Not maybe. Not sort of. Not, I was trying to help. Just I F'd up. And mean it. Because that's the only way you'll even begin to earn his trust back. Second story. I demand my wife get a job so I can take care of my mother. She said it's insulting and walked away. I will gladly divorce her if she won't get a job. My mum comes first. Throwaway account. So my brother became our mother's primary caregiver after our dad passed. He has given 6 years of his life caring for our mom. My hands were tied. I offered support in terms of money when I could. But our dad passed shortly after we had our second child. So our hands were full. Now that our kids are in school, I want to pay for additional support so my brother can go back to school. He always had great potential, but he also hates to see people suffer whom he deeply cares about. He also greatly appreciated that they did not give up on him when things got tough. My brother is on the spectrum, and he was a handful growing up. I think to a degree he blames himself for our parents' financial situation. He always said mom and dad would have been better off putting him in a group home or shipping him off somewhere. I have told him 1,000 times to not think that way, but he cannot help it. We were playing WoW, and I asked him what his plans for the future are. He wants to go back to school and get his degree. He was nearly done, but dropped out to take care of our mom. So I asked him if we paid for someone to watch mom, could he go back to school? He said yeah, but it has to be someone in the home. He refuses to place her in a nursing home until it is deemed medically necessary by her doctors. So that is a non-starter. I mentioned this to my wife, and while she is sympathetic, she feels our focus needs to be on our family first and foremost. We kind of had a slight spat over this because I don't think my wife understands my little brother took on a huge responsibility. He did not need to, and took a huge responsibility off our hands. I unfortunately cannot afford to pay for additional support required for him to properly go back to school. Yes, our mother has some services, but they are far from enough. And with the projected cuts in the future, those services are likely to be reduced in the future. I want my brother to have something when the time does come for our mom to be placed or pass away. My wife is accusing me of putting her and the kids second, and it is insulting that I ask her to work so I can provide less for our family. My brother is my family also. I cannot move our mother in with us since all her services are tied to the state she lives in, and my wife refuses to share a home with someone that has dementia. So am I the arsehole here? I know my brother has not directly asked for help, because he knows how my wife is and does acknowledge this was his choice, and he has to live with the consequences. Editor's note. I can't include everything that happened in the comments. But it turns out that OP was an unreliable narrator, and his mother's dementia was either not that bad but manageable, or very severe. The same goes for his wife, who is either a stay-at-home mom, working part-time, or working full-time, but that doesn't seem to count for some reason. He also revealed that his plan is for his wife as a nurse, to eventually take over the care of his mother while still working. He did all of this against his brother's wishes. Comments by OP. It would come at a sacrifice. But that pales in comparison to what my brother has done. She had a well-paying job at a charter school as the school nurse. She easily could get another job that pays well. We would handle it like every other family that has both parents working. Many families with 2 working parents make it work. You assume I don't do anything. I did live on my own prior to getting married. I've been living on my own since I was 18. I've been working since I was 14. I am not some helpless guy. You do understand, prior to marriage, I was responsible for keeping my own house in order. You think once someone gets married, all that just goes away. Yes, chores are split. And yes, we share the load when it comes to activities. And yes, when it comes to things like homework and days off as a family, we will just have to make it work like many other families do. My brother is brilliant. He was going to Texas A&M for electrical engineering. I know he wants more, but is putting our mom first. I also asked him, and he is open to going to school, but wants to make sure our mom is being cared for. The cost of school is not the issue. He has plenty of professors and other contacts that are willing to help him with that avenue. The largest hurdle is the care aspect regarding our mom. My family is in a different state, but my in-laws are near, so it is not like we would be doing it alone. They are an extra avenue of support if neither of us can take off work for our kids, which they 100% would be willing to do. They already do so. They already help as is, and if need be, yes, we could rely on them for support if need be. Doubt they would say no if we really needed their help. If it comes down to it, like we said, we will just have to figure it out. These are not unique problems. Many families face them, and they handle it. Why do people assume we will not be capable of doing so? Considering they already help, it seems like a safe assumption. They have said if we ever need anything, just ask. Hell, they watched our kids over the weekend so we could go on a trip. If they are fine with that, I am sure they would be fine watching them if we needed to work while the kids were off or something, and we had no other option. What would happen if his wife told her parents she is not on board with his plans and they rescind their offer to help? If my wife pulled that SHT, I would divorce her in a heartbeat. I am sorry. I am not going to map out every conversation I have had with my in-laws. Yes, we have spoken about my mom's situation. They have provided a great deal of support, and said support suddenly dries up because I want to help my mom and brother out. If suddenly the help my wife asks of them stays, so we can have date nights and weekend trips. But they are not willing to help watch their grandkids on a day off that neither of us could get off. Or maybe pick them up from school if we both happen to not be able to. Then we are done. We have what we have in part because of him. Had he not stepped in, I don't know what I would have done. I know if her parents were sick, this would not even be a conversation. She would drop everything to care for them. I am not inviting my in-laws to do any more than they already are. They already help and provide childcare. If they can provide childcare, so we can have a weekend trip or go out for an evening. Asking them to take over if, by some chance, both my wife and I are unable to take off work. They already refuse to take our money. Who said they would be all around childcare? They are going to school. At worst, they may have to watch them if by some chance both of us are not able to get out of work. I get off work at 5, and our state has free after school until 7 p.m. for kids 6 to high school. If she tells them that she still accepts their free help for date night and weekend trips, yeah, I am going to divorce her because that is F-ed up. Before, the idea of refusal did not even pop in my head, but now, it is a lingering thought. She is fine to do what she wants for her family using our money. But when it comes to mine, sorry, they are not as important. That is 100% a double standard. Somebody said if he divorces his wife, he needs to pay alimony and child support. So he doesn't have money for his brother and mother. Actually, it would make things easier because, as stated, the house is our largest expense. I would push to sell the house each time I downsize. I probably would have to pay spousal support until she got back on her feet. But she has a valid nursing license. I highly doubt courts would say it makes sense for her to not work while the kids are of school age. As for child support, I would push for 50/50ths, so why would I be paying her child support? Might even push for full custody because I could easily swing my current income. And my job location allows me to provide a more stable environment for our kids. No lawyer, but I am sure a good lawyer could figure it out. I already do take days off when our kids are sick because I get worried about them and can barely focus. Would it be perfect? No, But who is? We will just have to make it work. Downvoted as stated. He is not against placement, but will only do so when her doctors deem it medically necessary. Which it is not. I cannot force him to place her. He is her POA. He is deferring to her doctors to help him make that determination. She gets some assistance from the state. But dementia care is not exactly an easy thing to get coverage for. Short-term respite and social adult day are also drops in the bucket when it comes to trying to go back to school. My mom gets some help, but they don't give 24/7 care. She gets 35 hours a week. That is a drop in the bucket when it comes to school. From what I understand, you have to meet a certain threshold for more hours. She is not at that point yet. Safety and supervision are not covered needs under Medicaid or Medicare. Getting a lot of daily care for dementia is rough. I have looked into resources for him through things like the Arena of Aging and other orgs like the Alzheimer's Association. Downvoted, it would come out of my pay. I cannot sustain her being a psalm and help my brother and mom out. My wife's time and labor would be used for our household. The income to help my brother and mother would come out of my paycheck. She has resources. But come on, with everything going on with Medicaid and Medicare, those resources are also probably going to be short-lived. What legal grounds would I have to do that? My mother is being well taken care of, and as stated, he is not against placement, but will only do so when it is deemed medically necessary by her doctors. If they have not felt placement is needed, then care to explain how he is not doing what is best for her. As for him, do you think anyone would say what he is doing is wrong? She 100% would move her parents into our home. She would leverage her nursing experience, as she is the best one to care for them. As an example, our local visiting nurse is looking for nurses to do teleassessments and evaluations for claims. She does not have to go to work in a hospital. She could get a WFH position. They are still available in our state. Though yes, if I need to change my schedule around, I will and already have done so. I am going to handle drop-off and pick-up because it is close to my job and not far from our house. My boss is pretty chill and understanding, so they will let me leave early and come back after I bring them home. My wife kept up with it. She still has her license. Respite care is not going to allow him to go back to school since respite care in their state is not done in home. It is done at a facility. Tuition he is covered. He has many of his old professors and contacts willing to help him with that. The cost of school is not the issue. The care for our mom is the issue. More so, her paycheck would go to our household, and I would still cover our mortgage and utilities, while her check would cover everything else. The remaining amount would go towards paying for my mother's care. Less the college experience. But if he wants to go through their engineering program, and he has the option, why not let him? Do community colleges even have engineering degrees? I heard they have a great program, and he has jobs lined up. He has professors willing to help him get a job at the Freeport plant. Why not help him be in the environment he knows and has professors that understand his situation? He uses those 35 hours to work. So either way she would have to work, because if he uses that time to go to school instead of working, who is going to pay his bills? Cannot work with the others because someone needs to watch mom. So either I would pay him or pay someone to watch mom. Money is coming out. From what I gather, 35 hours is not enough to handle the last 2 years of an engineering degree program. I never asked her to care for my mother or brother. We are not moving her from Texas to Pa. So if you are talking money, I would still be contributing to the house. I would be paying the mortgage and utilities. I would still be dropping off and picking the kids up since my job is the closest to their school and is on the way. I am confused. You make it seem like I said she has to do it all on her own. Before, the idea of refusal did not even pop in my head. But now, it is a lingering thought. She is fine to do what she wants for her family using our money. But when it comes to mine, sorry, they are not as important. That is 100% a double standard. If she really feels that way, that my mom getting dementia and my father passing away is a help, that I should have planned a better situation, and that they should be left to their devices, maybe she was not the person I thought she was. Had my brother not stepped up, I don't know what I would have done. But it was not exactly a simple situation for us. We lived in different states, and my mom already had established services in place in her own state. Actually, our mortgage and utilities are the majority of the expenses. Kids are on my insurance, and if you mean homeowners, that is part of the mortgage. All the other expenses are not more than what we spend on our mortgage payment and utilities, especially during the summer. We need to wear sweaters in the house. She loves her AC. Yeah, it is crazy work to help family in need. Kids are of school age. I highly doubt she would win long-term alimony. I would also push for 50/50ths, so child support would be a hard sell. Selling the house would free up a lot of my money also. We bought a home in a slightly expensive area. I would leave my wife if she expressed that her family's needs should be considered, but not mine. We live in separate states, so not much. I moved to be closer to her family because she hated the idea of living in Texas. So my parents should be punished because they refused to move with us. My mom did stay with us for a year with our firstborn, though, because her mom was still working at the time, to help and stuff. This did cause tension between my mom and my mother-in-law. Second time around, my mother-in-law really did go all out, and I appreciate it. Yes, it actually is as stated. We have a friend that told us that our local visiting nurse association is looking for nurses to do virtual assessments for insurance. 100% WFH. Before I was not against it, no. But I am feeling that way now because everything I suggest that is offering support to my brother is shot down and viewed as a burden. Anything that goes towards that goal is unnecessary. No lawyer. But if I pushed for 50/50ths custody, and she made the choice to purposely work a lower-paying job, and then request child support and alimony because her current job does not meet expenses, pretty sure a judge would look at her like WTF. Yeah, if the worst case happens and we divorce, and she still refuses to work and wants me to cover all her expenses because she refuses to work, I will try for full custody. Yes. Sure, I probably would not get it. But hey, why not try? Update. Appreciate the feedback. I got many helpful messages and DMs that have helped me come up with a game plan. I don't know how it will go, but this is my game plan, and I will tell my wife about it on the weekend when the kids are with their grandparents. I will make it clear that I am going to take care of my mother. That is going to happen. It will take probably about a year. But thanks to the resources many sent, I am going to look to move my mother here to PA and get her Medicaid and services here. Someone provided me with a means to get services transferred from state to prevent lapses in coverage. I have my Plan A and Plan B. Plan A. My mother moves here without a hitch. She gets the same 35 hours a week, and my boss allows me to shift my schedule so I can work from home outside major events. And in case of those major events, I will ask my in-laws if they would be willing to watch our kids if need be. If not, as stated, aftercare closes at 7 p.m. and is free for young children. So one of us would have to pick them up. If my boss allows me to shift to that schedule, this frees up income that my brother did not have access to because rent would not be expensive. Not sure why people thought she had a house. She does not, she rents. With everything else like food and stuff being covered by the family budget, I could use a small portion of her income to pay for the social day program. The average price per day is $80. That in theory with the 35 gives her a total of 12 hours of coverage. I will handle the rest myself, just like my brother has. He has been doing more. I will start to look for prices to add a separate entrance for our basement since we have a finished basement, which is served as a temporary guest area, but can easily be converted to a private apartment area, I think. She has dementia. Not like she needs a kitchen. She will eat with us, but has plenty of space for things like a refrigerator and stuff. This will also allow our kids to have supervised interaction with our kids, while not allowing her free reign of the house to ease my wife's fears. Also gives me the benefit of spending time with my mom. Plan B is more involved and pricey. So say my boss does not let me switch. Then I tell my wife next year I am quitting my job. But she has a year before I max out my vacation days and use FMLA. I am not sure if this event qualifies. I will touch bases with HR on that. So best case, she has a year and change to find a job. And we do what is necessary to have our needs met by her earned income. In this plan, my mom would not be living with us. I would use her income to find her an apartment nearby, which unfortunately does not allow for additional services like adult day. But since I am not working and the kids are in school, if she gets the same 35 hours, I could spend the time the kids are in school, and then the 35 hours could be used to handle the evenings. Now after she is settled here, I will explore care home options, but I am hoping when that time does come, my brother is done with school, and I still have a job if we go with Plan A or can get another job if we end up with Plan B, where we can split the cost to put her in a good place. Been reading caregiver forums and stuff, and it seems good is highly subjective. It appears to be a very lengthy process. Also Plan Z, I hope it does not come to this, and we divorce over this. I love my wife, but she really pushes back on me helping my mom in either of these cases. Then clearly we are no longer capable. That being said, if we do end up divorced over this, I hope we can be compatible co-parents. That is my game plan. It is a throwaway account, so I doubt I will update further. But I wanted to give a brief update as to how my plans are going. I hope she agrees because not helping is not an option for me. I hope she understands that. For those wondering, she is still fairly capable, as her doctor likes to put it. Physically, she is in perfect health for her age. She is on stage 4 treatment for dementia. We don't know if it does anything, but she does tolerate it well. She can dress and feed herself. The same with toileting. She is capable of going on her own. Sometimes she is reminded to wipe, or at night she may have an accident because she forgets or does not make it in time. Eating can be a battle, because all she wants to eat is Chinese food and fried chicken. But my brother gets her to eat. It just takes a long time. She is a lot like how kids are. But otherwise she is one of the most loving people you will meet. As her doctors like to put it, she is presently demented. I hope since she still remembers my kids and sees them often via FaceTime that once in person, it helps with the transition. Overall, it is time for my brother to have a life and identity besides being a young adult caregiver. I hope my wife does understand this. Comments by OP. What can I say? Life sucks and throws you curveballs. We have always split household chores. Our parents did not do our laundry for us. We had to do it ourselves. We would go to the laundromat together. Each of us was responsible for our own clothes when we got a certain age. The simple rule for dishes was if you use the dish, you clean it. Bathroom. After you are done using it, clean up after yourself. The biggest one they drilled into us is if you see something dirty, even if you did not do it, you clean because the house is a shared space. The point I am making is not one person is responsible for any one task. We have always helped one another, and hopefully always will. Do I max out my contributions for my 401k every year? Yes, I do. Unfortunately, when she became a SOM, I no longer had the means to max hers out. She used to do that when she worked, because I would still cover a majority of the expenses. She stopped working around COVID. Things with school and stuff got murky, so with some cuts, we have been able to live comfortably since. Yes, we are setting aside money for college. With the rising costs, they probably are going to have to get grants, scholarships, and stuff to supplement it. As for her working, I would still cover the mortgage and utilities. Her income will go towards everything else. But after it was tallied up, outside, our cars or house needed a major repair, so her portion is still less than what I would be paying per year. She is free to use the rest of her income as she sees fit. I would just use the portion of my income, not going to the house on my mom. If she were to pay extra for all that stuff, awesome. Those 2 grown-arse adults are my mother, who has dementia at no fault of her own, and my brother, who dropped out of school to care for our mother after our dad passed. They are not just some random adults. I have reached out to organizations like the Alzheimer's Association, Karenkind, and JCC. Each has explained it is 100% possible to keep someone with dementia safe in the community. The vast majority of people with dementia do live in the community with support. If I can get and provide that support, why not let them stay in the community until it is no longer safe? Even the experts state, if you can keep them home safely, do it. There are many ways of mitigating risk if it turns out to not be possible. You place them. Why jump the gun? My brother has less than I do, and as stated by her doctors, outside her dementia, she is in great physical health. No other underlying health issue. He gets her to exercise regularly. They go on bike rides together using 2 dual bikes. Why confine someone that still has the ability to enjoy life to a nursing home because she may pose a risk to herself? She is not going to get that same level of engagement when my brother goes back to school. No facility is going to take her to see football or baseball games like my brother does. Are they going to take her to see a play or to her dance classes? She has dementia, but she still has life to live and enjoys life. My brother has done it for 6 years without ever complaining to me. The least I can do is try. Commenter. I'd divorce you. For making plans without even talking to me and getting my approval when it affects my life and my children's lives directly. Quit your job. You're an arsa hat. Do you even think about your children? Do you even care about them? Sure, you lose a wife. You don't care. But what about your children? Are you willing to take the risk that your children will have nothing to do with you when they're older? OP. That is why I prefer Plan A. Trust when she gets to the point where SHT is on the walls or gets violent. That is when placement is needed. She is not at that point yet. I just don't get why people are acting like we should speed up the timeline because she probably will get to that point in the future. Downvoted if it is plan A in terms of active caregiving. Maybe 4 or 5 hours, since she would also be an adult day. She still sleeps through the evening, thankfully. I think it is less of a martyr complex, and more so if my mom is not at that point where she is incontinent, violent, aggressive, etc. Why not take care of her for as long as I can? It is dementia. From what I have read, nothing is really long. Even if we place her now, she would have to be moved to memory care. We cannot afford memory care. That SHT is ungodly expensive. Downvoted thanks. I took a brief look and nearly died. Someone gave me the number for a place for mom, so I will give them a try. Paying for home care is so much cheaper than memory care. My brother has done a lot of the legwork. With his knowledge and experience, I think I'll get through. He is a creative little bugger. Her general dentist is a pediatric dentist because they have the patience, and she does well. It does help she has all her natural teeth. As for caregivers, my mom has a type. She responds so well to female Spanish-speaking caregivers. He is going to walk me through it all. He made a handbook for those that come to care for her with her likes, dislikes, and what possible emotions or behaviors mean. Not going in this alone like he did. Like the Alzheimer's Association told me, dementia is a series of horrible choices, and you pick the one you could personally live with. Even they confirm my mother would most likely not get the same level of engagement. And studies do show a parent aging at home with support tends to stay stable longer. So why not try and see if I can do it? She is doing fine with my brother, according to her doctors. Worst case, she has to be placed sooner rather than later. Even if I try to place her now, who will pay for it? Have you looked up the prices for memory care? Paying for home care is much cheaper by a large margin. If I cannot afford quality memory care, then home care is best. No. My wife is 100% capable of finding work. We have a nursing shortage. Finding work is not the issue. It is her lack of desire to go back to work. Plan B is because my wife has stated if her parents get sick, she would move them in with us. If she feels someone has to be present for when the kids get home, then I could take on that role while she works. As stated, I would take care of my mom while the kids are in school, and then the 35 hours of coverage would cover the evenings. Why should she be able to not work to care for parents, but not me? At the end of the day, I would be doing what she plans to do with her parents. I am not asking her to provide physical care, just like she would not ask me to provide physical care. Update 2. Hey, I saw someone replied around 10 days ago, so I figured I would just give a brief update. I went with plan A, and things have been going okay. We have good days, and we have bad days. My boss and team have all been super accommodating and understanding. It has been nice to see our kids hang out with Ma, while she has more good days than bad. Even her bad days are just minor inconveniences at best. She is not aggressive or anything. The flight down here was super easy. She handled it like a champ, and she has adjusted well. Her face was like a Christmas tree when she saw her grandkids. Still fighting with the insurance company to get her HHA care. But they do cover social day 5 days a week, and her medical team here got her approved for OT and PT for maintenance purposes, which has been great. She is in better shape than I thought. Even her PT is shocked at how strong she is and how well she is on her feet. My wife is not exactly pleased, but we manage. As it stands, she is staying in our basement. We have yet to put in the separate entrance, but that probably will have to wait a little. It has been an adjustment. Lol, don't think my wife likes me being home as much. My mom tries to interact with my wife, but they are oil and water. I hope with time it becomes like oil and ginger. It takes a little work, but once they mix, it is great. I am glad I did this. I get to spend time with my mom, and our kids get to see parts of the great woman that raised my brother and me. I dropped the whole job thing. We are managing. My brother will start taking winter classes this year, and yeah, I think overall this will be for the best. For those that do wonder, yes, I moved my mom in with me, but my wife does not handle her care at all. I moved my office into the basement, so when I am working from home, she is with me. If I have to go on the field, my boss's wife watches her. She said my mom reminds her of her sister and loves the company, and so does my mom. She takes her out to do her hair and nails and stuff. She has been super supportive and a great help. People have been very understanding and supportive. FYI, Medicaid blows. They don't want to cover anything. Comments by OP. She does have Medicaid. Just getting HHA hours is proving complicated. They claim she is too functional. So working on getting letters of medical necessity, and appealing the decision. Once she gets approved for ours, I can look into the family caregiver programs. As stated before, I did try to have a conversation with my wife, but she refused to entertain anything that required any level of support from me. End of story. How do you have a conversation when the other party has no interest? So I came up with a plan and executed it. Plans are great, but sometimes life has different plans. I would not say I am afraid of divorce. I did speak with an attorney, and overall it would not have been horrible on my end. Would be responsible for child support and some spousal support until she got on her feet. The house would probably have to be sold because my attorney stated they cannot force me to keep paying for a house I was no longer living in. The attorney explained spousal support is generally not a permanent thing. It is meant to help them get on their feet. Getting 50% custody would probably be the baseline. But he stated my spousal support most likely would not cover all her expenses even combined with child support. Overall, as a family, we are going through enough changes. And I guess I just don't want to put anyone else through more stress than is necessary. I am not pushing the work issue, because overall a part of me is checked out in terms of the marriage, because, as I mentioned in the other posts, if her parents needed help, it would not even be a conversation. They would be moved in ASAP. She is closer to her parents. It makes sense, they are her parents. Yeah, it is just a super stressful ordeal for little gain on all parties, especially the kids. I am not for putting them through that. I did strongly consider it, and my attorney said overall he does not see me getting hosed. But yeah, anything could happen and can take a long time. I have enough on my plate. Divorce can wait. If she wants to file a fine, I will sign. But for me, I have enough to keep me busy. I am salty because we had this talk about her parents, and she would do whatever they needed. And I guess for my family, it is just lip service. She would 100% find a way to claim each situation is different. Unfortunately, we cannot have a conversation with someone that refuses to entertain any suggestion that requires any degree of support from us. She already told me she had no intention of helping. So what? At that point, just tell them no because my wife put her food down. We have shared chores and family responsibilities since we have been together. It amazes me how people think men just forget how to take care of themselves once they get married. Prior to dating, I was responsible for cooking, cleaning, laundry, shopping, paying bills, etc. Those basic skills just don't go away. Why do people always assume the guy will do nothing? She is the one in this equation who is doing nothing lol. But I get it. Everything is different because my mom's sickness is dementia. Make it seem like that changes the fact she is my mother, and she needs help. Been going to support groups, and one thing that really did stick with me. Dementia is a BTCH, but if everyone in a family chips in, the burden of dementia is not as painful. The load is spread out amongst family. They are right. Had I just helped more beforehand, we probably would not be in this situation where my brother was deep in burnout, pushing it all down because he did not want to be a burden. Divorce is not the end of the world. It would 100% suck, but the world will not stop rotating because we got divorced. Grand scheme, the marriage was already over the moment she told me to forget about my mother and brother. My mom was not perfect, but who has perfect parents? She did her best and did right by us. Support groups have helped me a lot and have shown me it is natural and normal to care for a parent that gave you every opportunity to succeed and truly loves you with all their heart. A parent's love cannot be replaced. Time spent with a parent cannot be replaced. Having your grandkids spend time with a grandparent cannot be replaced. Those will always be lasting and forever memories. Yeah, my boss's wife does take her to church, and she has some friends already that understand she has dementia and hang with her. My mom can still play games and stuff. I guess it is muscle memory. She enjoys her Wednesday bingo, and they go for walks and stuff. The community has been great and super supportive. Invited us over for Thanksgiving. Everyone loves my mom. She is overall pleasantly demented, as her neuro over here likes to say. She seems happy. I guess, as the saying goes, ignorance is bliss. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.